Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Emerging Brand Podcast with Kelly Bennett. I am a New York City based brand strategist, and one of my favorite things to do is talk to founders of cool emerging brands. This episode feels extra special because we are talking about queer founded brands with two queer founders, as I am a queer founder myself. And so I've been really looking forward to this. Kat and Mariana of Famm are here today on the podcast. Hi, everyone. Stoked
Hi,
to have
everyone.
you. So, we're going to dive into a lot of the story behind what Famm is, what exactly Famm is, how you're helping support queer brands and service providers. But let's first hear the story behind Famm. So, Kat, can you kick things off for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kelly. Um, I'll start with just saying that if folks don't know, Mariana and I, although we are the co-founders of FAM, we are also partners in life. We are married. We're just in separate offices right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, I love this even more. Continue.
but yeah, so the story. I will say Mariana's been thinking about kind of building something like this for a couple of years now, and there are really great resources out there that we were certainly aware of and or using and or are still using. But I will say it really kind of came to us last year. I would say May 2023. I was closing a chapter with my current company that I was co-founder at for 8 years. Um, and there are two problems that we were trying to solve and also experiencing personally. The first one is just an easy, visual, efficient way to find affirming brands for queer folks like ourselves or products as well. So for me, just navigating my gender and my style as I get older, just understanding kind of like where to go to find that just easily, versus having to click into multiple links and websites and doing the research myself. I just wanted to know in 5 seconds, like what was the brand's aesthetic, what was their vibe, did it align with what I was looking for? So that's number one, something easy to use there. That was part one of inspiration. Um, I would say the second part really was just about as a queer professional and somebody who's been in leadership seats at companies large and small. Um, Representation is so important, of course, especially for queer folks and queer people of color as well. But representation doesn't always mean agency and power and influence. And I think another part of why we created FAM and are building FAM is because of that power that we want to bring to entrepreneurs and professionals within the queer economy, essentially. So that's the second kind of pillar of our mission and why we started FAM.
Also, too, the name is perfect.
Yes, yeah,
It's
very, yeah,
perfection.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to also make sure I gave a shout out to the actual name of the brand. So I very much resonate with that of wanting to shop more queer owned brands myself. Like I am, I like makeup, but I also aren't super femme. So like finding clothing that feels aligned with my gender identity and sexuality and all the things. I too am like in my late 30s and kind of like relaunching my style. So I very much resonate with what you just said and having a place where I could find brands that align and I feel more comfortable and not awkward. That very much resonates with me as well. So when you were both brainstorming the concept behind FAM, what are some things you wanted to do differently? There's some things that have stood out to me as differently. Just first, the aesthetics. Bravo. Whoever is
yeah.
doing the aesthetics. Um, it looks really cool. It feels more elevated, to be honest, than other things I've seen in this space. But I would love to hear from you, Kat. What do you think FAM is really doing differently in this space of curating markets or helping people connect with brands?
Yeah, yeah. I think for us, it's really about the efficiency and ease of use. And I'm also just a very visual person. And so is Mariana. And so we were both, when we were, designing Famm and coming up with this concept, we were just like, this is a way to make it different. This is a way to make it easy. This is a way to speak to folks who are much more visual and really, don't have the time to do the research, or read a bunch of listicles or, articles during Pride, which is really the only time I would ever find out about brands. I only had a handful of brands apparel brands, queer-owned apparel brands that I would shop at. So I think for us, the biggest differentiator is that. But I will say the second differentiator that I feel like we are very hyper focused on and have been from, since day one, is the stories that we are telling from these, of these founders and entrepreneurs and their journeys and now service providers. I think that was such a critical piece. And Mariana will speak to this around like our brand strategy and like the connection component. But that was really important because that really aligns with that second pillar of our mission around, agency, power, and growth, and really being a resource to either future queer entrepreneurs, existing queer entrepreneurs, right? And folks who wanted to go down this path of entrepreneurship. So I think telling the stories, the founder interviews, that was such a critical piece.
And that's something that really struck me also with your social, that you were really finding the faces and the humans behind the brands. It wasn't just product focused, but a really nice mix of both. And also, I love knowing the stories behind the brands I shop. I'm that nerd. My girlfriend always laughs at me when we go to different like specialty grocery stores in the city. I'm like, oh, this founder, and I know like really nerdy facts as if I am best friends with everyone in the store. And even like the store owners, like I've had quite a few on my podcast. And I just love knowing the stories. It just helps me feel more connected and it makes me absolutely more brand loyal. So I think the fact that you are curating that experience is a huge benefit also for the brands too, that they're getting their name out there, they're getting their story out there, and they're finding those different touch points with people who could be curious of working with them or shopping from them. So I love how you all are curating those conversations. It really is impactful. So let's talk about strategy. This is obviously one of my favorite aspects of a brand and how you launch and how you've been scaling. I didn't even realize it was only last year-ish that you all
Yeah,
started this. Awesome job. I thought this was
Thank
around
you.
for quite a few years, so great job there.
thank you.
Mariana, could you talk a bit of this about the strategy of the launch and how you started getting the word out? I found it on social being shared during LGBTQ Business Week. I started following, but how did that look behind the scenes to get the word out? Like, hey, we have this really cool resource now.
Yeah. So FAM has always been a passion project and it's totally self-funded. It was really something we wanted to see out in the world. So our strategy has always, since the launch or before the launch and on, it's always been really organic. And it's been sort of focused on what we like to do and how we like to spend our time and what we're passionate about. So Kat and I are both entrepreneurs and we both love connecting with other entrepreneurs or founders or service providers or professionals. So we wanted to focus on really building community and building those connections. So one of the big things like Kat was talking about is our founder interview series. So we honestly didn't have a big strategy for the day of launch, but we did start our founder interview series the very first month. And since then, we have interviewed dozens and dozens and dozens of, you're back. Yes. So we've interviewed dozens and dozens and dozens of LGBTQ founders, business owners, service providers, and that has honestly been one of the highlights of this project since we started. It has been so much fun making friends, honestly, and building those connections and hearing their stories. Their stories are so inspiring. So the founder interview series has been a big one. We've also been focused on partnerships, so partnering with like-minded brands and organizations. And we continue to focus on that. Shout out to Folks Health. And then what else? I also, my background's in marketing and I'm a big content marketing person. So we've also been really focused on our blog and creating content and articles that are highlighting these brands and founders. Yeah, but I would say those are our big three.
When you started reaching out with Famm and the platform and the concept to those founders and community leaders and potential brand partners, what was the initial feedback that you were getting? Where they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. We've been looking for something like this."
Yeah, so the some of the very first outreach was for our interview series. And I mean, I believe we launched FAM right around like May 15th. And I think our first interview was maybe a week later with Patrick Church. And so we were just reaching out, explaining like, this is FAM, we just launched, this is what we like, this is like our vision and what we plan to create and what we are creating. And the responses were so, I mean, they were amazing. And all these founders were so amazing. And these first founders or artists or these people that we were interviewing, it was like, I just think about Patrick Church and he was like, yes, like I'll definitely like sign me up for an interview. And yeah, I would say all the responses have been really positive.
That's really cool. And I'm sure that was also comforting when you do put your time, your resources, your energy, passion into something and to get such a great response right off the bat. That must have felt really damn good.
Yeah, it was really nice.
And where, just so I know, because I want to binge these episodes, where can people listen to those interview series?
Yeah, so our interviews are all text-based. They're on FAM. So if you go to heyfam.com/blog, they're on our blog. And then we also promote them on Instagram, and we're also taking like audio clips of like really great pieces of advice or other things that they've said and sharing those on social too. But the full interview is on FAM.
Is on the blog. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So give us a vision of where FAM is going. Because you started right out of the gate, sounds really strong. You have great brands on the platform. You have also service providers coming to the platform, really creating that ecosystem, which is so needed and something I've always been so passionate about, connecting those dots. So when I saw your website, I was like, yes, thank you. This is so cool. What is the vision of FAM? How do you see it growing in the future? I know that it's still very much an emerging brand, which is exciting, but I would love to hear what the next year, few years look like.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a few different components. I'll talk about the first one. So yeah, right now, FAM, you can go there and discover brands and service providers and products. And so that piece we definitely want to expand on. So in a few years, I envision someone can land on FAM and there will be thousands of brands and service providers and products. So if someone's looking for a very specific type of product, they can easily find it. If someone is looking for an LGBTQ therapist or financial advisor or literally like whatever it might be, they will be able to go through hundreds of service providers and really anything you're looking for. It's like Kat and I both want to spend all of our money within our community. So it's like if we're looking for someone, we can easily go to FAM and find it. So just continuing to expand on that. And then Kat, I'll hand it over to you for the next couple things.
Yeah, this part I'm really excited about because it has presented itself to us in the connections that we've already made with entrepreneurs, the interactions that we've seen, the requests that we've gotten. So I'll get specific. In a lot of our conversations and meeting these and building these relationships with other LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs, a lot of just organic requests have come up around like, hey, Kat and Mariana, intro us to maybe some of these investors in your network, or hey, Kat, Mariana, how about we do a holiday kind of partnership with these brands? Can you connect us to these brands? So just like a lot of organic like connection requests happening within this like network that we've created. So um, this is, you're hearing it first here, but this is going to be coming out soon, which is a concept that we're testing around a potential new offering, which will be called Famm Connect, a mobile app where you effectively can connect with other queer professionals. Think queer LinkedIn. I think way back in the day, there was another kind of like multi-channel experience via magazine and in person and online called Dot 429. I don't believe they are active anymore. But there is no queer kind of LinkedIn app that we are aware of. I'm not aware of. There's a lot of fragmented experiences out there that are very niche, like for tech, folks who are queer in tech or entrepreneurs, but nothing for queer professionals across any and all industries to connect, grow, share opportunities in a safe, affirming space that's accessible. So, that is potentially the next phase of this. I think if we get enough interest, we're going to be launching a little landing page this week for folks to sign up if they're interested and want to stay up to date. And if we get enough interest, we are going to self-fund and build that up. So that's the next potential.
This is so
phase.
exciting. Okay, I had to mute myself to not interrupt, be like, oh my gosh, I love this idea. Well, number one, I would love to sign up. Number two, I think this is such a great concept, again, because I also find it sometimes awkward with networking because you want to work with other queer service providers, but unless you're on dating apps, by
Yeah.
and large, and I'm not. I have a girlfriend, and like that feels weird to do that and be like, no, I'm looking for friends for business. It just like the context of it. And then like I always struggle, like, should I just put like a rainbow flag in my bio and then other queer service providers might find me? But then I don't, but because I ran out of characters, but I just post about my girlfriend. I'm like, by now they know they will
Yeah.
figure it out. But I love that idea because there's always a little bit of that awkward thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to just have a space where that's the intention and it's not some weird setup. I love that. Like a queer LinkedIn sounds right up my alley and something that I would really find value in. And again, there is a need. There's like this awkward in between um of just trying to connect. Even living in New York City, I still don't even know all the places to go for business, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily social.
Yeah.
So I love this idea. So Fam
Yes.
Connect, I love it. So cool.
Love that.
So cool. Um, okay, so we have currently brands can list on Fam, service providers can list on Fam. And also to eventually, hopefully, there'll be another sort of app or some sort of application to connect more service providers together within the queer community. So cool.
Connect queer professionals
Queer
together, isn't it?
professionals.
Yes.
Love
And
it.
we'll have services and businesses on there as well, but yes, it'll be more professional connection by and large for anyone in the queer community looking for that type of networking.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
founders, service providers, business owners, professionals.
Love
all of
it.
it.
Students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Now that you're almost well, you all are still fairly new and getting so much shit done. So again, like awesome job. What advice would you share to someone who's listening who is just in the early stages? Maybe they have the concept, they're like, I have this idea. I feel like it's really genuinely needed. Um, I feel in my heart it's the right next step, but I'm not quite sure maybe how to put the pieces together or how to do some of that cold outreach that you all started with, building that community. What type of advice would you share to that emerging founder? And I'll ask both of you. I would love to hear both your insights.
I'll go first. So when I was thinking of advice, first I thought start a business with your spouse, but that feels way too specific. So my advice is build connections and friendships with other founders and entrepreneurs. I have started lots of businesses in my life, and it is a lonely journey and a difficult one. And honestly, having Kat has been amazing. This I feel real corny saying that, but just being able to, having people that get it and they're in that space too, just to bounce ideas off of, or if you need resources or asking for help or advice or just sharing thoughts, I feel like that goes a long way. I mean, of course you can do it solo, but it's more fun. And I think also it's just a lot more helpful when you have those people and that support system around you.
Absolutely. And also, I think that's really sweet that you said start a business with your spouse. I think that is really sweet because you usually hear the opposite advice,
Yeah.
right? And so I love that you did say that. And I agree. Once you could have people to bounce ideas off of and who get you, I think that's really important too. And who helps you feel seen and not that you're like in this outer space world with entrepreneurial ideas. That's life changing. That really gives you the confidence. And so I love that you shared that. And I think that's such a practical, tangible piece of advice that someone could take action, right? They could start an interview series or going to events or something, start surrounding themselves and being more mindful with who they're surrounding themselves with. So I love that. Same question to you, Kat. What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think for me, it would be really kind of tapping into and embracing your unique POV or point of view. Um, even if your idea is tackling, a similar problem that other, orgs or companies or businesses are tackling. I think especially in the queer community, there's so much space for different perspectives. And different lenses of operation. I just think that, and also just we need more people working on all of the problems that we're experiencing, just across all these different markets. There's just space for anyone and everyone to really kind of come in and embrace their unique perspective. And I think for us, like Mariana and I are both uh, people of color. I'm Puerto Rican and Korean and grew up low income and first gen college student. All the things. And I think there's something unique that I certainly bring to the table from an intersectional lens that, you don't typically see in other companies that are mostly even within the queer community. And we love our kind of gay white men out there who are wonderful humans and supporters of Famm. However, that is still the majority of the share in terms of queer business ownership. And we need more kind of perspectives through an, again, intersectional lens, POC lens, women lens, etc. So I think embracing that and really owning that and believing in that is a really powerful thing.
I'm really glad that you touched upon that because so many founders that I work with, by and large, feel really scared of putting out their own nuanced perspective, lived experience for multitude of reasons, which some are very valid, right? Maybe they just don't feel safe doing it because they haven't seen someone like them there before. But I think what you all are doing is really helping end that hopefully and have more representation, but really embracing the intersections of who you are as a human and bringing that into a brand. And I personally have been really inspired by Gen Z. I think Gen Z has done a great job with more
Mm.
nuanced conversations and bringing more nuance to brands and
Yeah,
conversations like as an elder millennial, like, you all are crushing it, and
yeah.
I really respect it. I've been really inspired. I'm like, "Oh, it's giving me more confidence for sure."
Mhm.
So I love that you touched upon that because I'm sure someone listening that will be the sign that they're like, okay, it's okay that I don't fit this cookie cutter box, but that cookie cutter box is boring and it's been done. And to really stand out in the market, you need something different and fresh. And to lean on what you bring to the table that is different is such a powerful way to put yourself out there and build a business.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So cool. I could talk to you both for so long, but I know we got to run. But before we do, most important question, how can we connect with Famm?
Yeah, so our website is Hey Famm. Famm is FAMM.com. That's where you can discover brands, products, and service providers. If you are the founder of a brand or you're an LGBTQ service provider, we have a button right on the top where you can click that to learn more about how to get listed. And then on social, I think across all platforms, we're Hey_Famm.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you both so much for coming on the podcast, for sharing your story. And I just appreciated this conversation so much. And I know many people will listen to this and feel really inspired and encouraged. And just thank you both so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for having
Kelly.
us.
You're so welcome. See everyone on the next episode. Bye.